Hello and welcome to South Sligo Talks, a community-based podcast bringing you local news and stories from the heart of South Sligo in Uncree Podcast Studios here in Tubbercurry. I'm Richard McCarthy, and on this week we'll be talking to Nicola, Annie and Rebecca from Northwest Stop. But first we're going to start with, as usual, with some community news with Tara and Kate.
Hi and welcome back to the community news segment of South Sligo Talks. My name is Kate and I'm joined again by Tara, and we're here to bring you all the local news.
Last Sunday, Sligo's senior men's team took on Dublin in the final round of the All-Ireland Round-Robin Series. Unfortunately, after suffering a loss, this was their final game for the year. After a very successful year for Sligo GAA, Sligo supporters are very proud of all their achievements and look forward to next year.
Like the men's team, the Sligo ladies also need to regroup after a defeat to Down at the weekend in the Junior Championship. Down had a more positive start with the 2-minute goal, which gave them the upper hand from the start. Sligo next face Limerick on the 2nd of July, where they hope to take home a win.
This Thursday, the 22nd of June, Tubbercurry Old Fair Day Committee are launching the 36th anniversary of the festival. The launch takes place at 8 p.m. in Cawley's Hotel, Tubbercurry. The festival this year runs from Saturday 5th of August to Wednesday the 8th.
Also happening in Tubbercurry, everyone's getting ready for the upcoming yearly South Sligo Summer School and Music Week. Musicians and dancers will be travelling from all corners to showcase and listen to local and national talents. Events begin on July 9th and will run straight through to July 15th, with a mix of traditional music and dance, ceilidhs and much more.
Best of luck to Jerry Connolly from Chaffpool, who is taking part in a skydive challenge on July 14th in aid of Shout. If you would like to support this cause, you can sponsor Jerry via Revolut at 087 908 3814. For this week's news, if you have any community news you'd like us to talk about next time, send it to us at southsligotalks@gmail.com. Bye.
Okay, so I suppose we start things off talking about Northwest Stop. Tell us, what is Northwest Stop?
Okay, so Northwest Stop, it's a community organisation originally started off as Stop Suicide back in 2004 by families in North Leitrim bereaved by suicide. I suppose there was a gap in services back then, which led the group to establish Northwest Stop, rebranded to Northwest Stop then in 2018. Because of a lack of services in the area.
And these services will be counselling services or?
Counselling services. Okay. So Northwest Stop then will provide a range of free counselling services right throughout the Northwest, from Donegal, Sligo, Leitrim, Roscommon, North Mayo, West Cavan and Longford.
So you're covering quite a lot of territory there. So
a lot of territory and all age groups as well. And a lot of different kind of counselling. So it ranges from play therapy, art therapy, and then general counselling as well.
Okay, so it's quite a large area to cover, I suppose. Like, do you have a lot of people involved, or how big is the team?
So we have about 35 counsellors on our books at the moment, and I suppose the beauty of, what we offer is when somebody calls through to our service that they can, we can connect with somebody depending on their needs in a specific location. So if it's somebody at the top of Donegal, we can provide a suitable counsellor up there, the same over in North Mayo and right throughout the region.
Okay, very good. And girls, I suppose, tell us about your involvement as well. How long have you been involved?
I have the AGM last October was when I became a member, but previously to that my husband done a marathon for Northwest Stop, and a lot of people hadn't heard about them until then, so I offered to help them give out t-shirts for last year's Sunrise for Stop, and I just came on board naturally. I think, but no, it's a nice organisation, and
very good. Annie, yourself, how long are you involved? Or
I'm over 4 years now involved with it. Like that too. I lost my nephew to suicide, so I would have known some of the families that would have set up Northwest Stop back years ago. So it was based on the help that they gave our family and our friends when we lost our nephew. So that's why I came on board. And look, I absolutely love it. And it's great to get new volunteers like Rebecca on board and everything like that. And we even nabbed Nicole into the mix as well. And she's now the chairperson. So,
Very good. Well done.
No, it's good.
And I suppose we say, would you have many volunteers that come on board every year, or would you be constantly looking for volunteers?
We're always looking for volunteers.
Okay.
Look, there's no point saying we're not. The more we have, the more we can get done, and it's all about getting the word out there. And it's hard to cover an area, by yourself or whatever. So it's great, like to have Rebecca over this side of the Sligo and different ones in Belmullet, and we're just,
And is there any areas that struggle for volunteers, or is it kind of quite average out, or?
Average is out.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. And what's required for the volunteers then, I suppose? Like, do they have to have qualifications, or what's the process for volunteering?
No, just I suppose
Able to talk.
able to talk and willing to help.
Good. I suppose we'll say, let's talk through the service itself. So, like, let's say I'm bringing the service, talk me through the process, Nicola, of how does it work? How can you help?
Okay, so somebody will ring our counselling number, and our counselling number is 0818 444 000. So somebody will call, we'll ask a few questions, like, their name and what the issue is that's going on with them at this particular time. And then we'll match them up with a counsellor as quickly as possible. And usually, we would have somebody matched up the next working day. Unless if it's a real emergency, and we might even see somebody that same day. But yeah, and then it's between the counsellor then and the client to work through that together.
Very good. And I had a look at the website and a whole lot, and one thing that was quite clear was like, it's not a government funded project as such. Like, so you are reliant on fundraisers and help from the public in supporting it. We'll say, where does the funding come from? We'll say, do you have an annual recruitment campaign, or how does it work?
Okay, so yeah, look, we're not government funded, and the funding comes in from the goodwill of the people always. We try to get involved with schools through schools and football clubs, people where we know, I suppose, that we can target that particular audience, because it's very important to raise awareness in those areas. So yeah, the funding comes from the public. There are people that host all sorts of events,
We've had some brilliant ones, we've had amazing tractor runs. We've had dips in Sligo all through December, and when it had freeze the good out,
cold dips.
Yes, cold dips. And there's been walks, there's been hikes, motorbike runs. We've had even something over in Australia, like we had a boxing tournament over there. It's just phenomenal what people come up with, really. And look, fundraisers, the highest we've had was an event in Manor Hamilton. There it was last August, was Barnchella. A whole weekend of a family gave their farm pretty much over to the public. They raised over 53,000.
Wow, okay, that's
in one weekend, so it was huge.
I think as well, it's something that's very close to everyone, because I think everybody in some way knows somebody who's been affected or have been affected themselves and a whole lot. So it's one of those charities or one of those organizations that people are willing to help.
Yeah.
I think it's just getting it into the right places, and like the counselling is one of those areas that it's something that's where you start. When you ask for help, that the help is there.
Yeah,
so it's quite good. I'm quite surprised that it's not government funded. I think that's something that should change. But look, it is what it is, and it's great to see that the public are getting behind you.
Yeah.
I suppose let's talk about, we'll say, in relation to the state of mental health and the sports out there. I suppose, what would your opinion on the state of mental health and the sports out there since COVID are like, girls?
Yeah, I suppose for me, I would see a lot of people, younger people now answering, coming through onto our lines, and I'm talking, the 12 to 18 age group that might be waiting on CAMS appointments, and I suppose during COVID, things like that might have really taken a hit. But yeah, we're seeing an awful lot more of that particular age group now than ever before, and even younger children as well. So there has been a knock-on effect there with the younger age group.
Yeah, and has, I suppose, look, the mental health term, I think it's such a broad spectrum of mental health. Like, some people might be suffering from anxiety or stress and stuff like that. It all comes under the mental health banner. We'll say, is it something that needs to be, diversified a little bit, or is it kind of, does mental health, is it, are we trying to put too much into one topic,
I don't think so, to be fair. Like, if you look back maybe 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't talk about your mental health. Go back further, you certainly wouldn't talk about it. But now, at least, there is that stigma is kind of going, and it's
exactly.
That people aren't afraid to come out and say, well, look, do you know what, suffer with anxiety, have had depression, stuff like that. For the younger age group that Nicola was saying there, COVID was a terrible time, and it isolated people, different things like that, and the younger age group too, there's huge peer pressure and things like that on them as well. So I think definitely it's good that it's that you're able to come out and say, yes, look, this is the problem and I need help with that. As you say, if we had a sore arm or sore leg, whatever, you go to the doctor. There's no reason why this shouldn't be looked after.
Absolutely.
In more ways, more so.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And we'll say, Rebecca, we'll say, do you see kind of, like you were saying about the younger age, we'll say, what about the older age? We'll say, especially in rural Ireland, is there kind of an older age that can reach out, or?
People generally around their probably 40s or so, or even one age group, 30s to 40s. Like that COVID did isolate them a lot. And I know the town probably know me for spreading awareness, but I am very much an open book. I've been through the services, I've been the other end of the table as such, and I've been very open about that because it's normal.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know when you'll be affected by it.
Absolutely.
And the best thing you can do is talk. And like that, if you don't want to talk to a friend, lift up the phone, and it's just, you can't do it alone. Basically.
No, exactly. And I think it's something that kind of, like you said, the stigma of mental health needs to go. It just needs to, like, people need to get over that. And as an Irish culture, we tend to kind of, especially men, like, they bottle everything up and they're tough and all this kind of stuff. That needs to go too. I think you have to talk. Communication is key. So it is great. And the fact that you're talking from experience as well is really good as well. So it makes a big difference that people aren't, when they're talking to a counsellor, talking to people on the phone, they know these people can relate to them, which is really good.
I think as well, it definitely affects people of all ages, and it is quite scary and sad, to hear people, in their late 70s coming in talking about loneliness and isolation and things like that. But at least they've picked up the phone, and that it would be great if there just was more ways in which people could access services for that particular age group.
Because like one in 4 people will suffer in some description with their mental health. So like if you look at cancer, if you hear it on the radio, it's 1 in 2. So like 1 in 4 is huge as well. So
it is absolutely. And I think it's one of these things that people, they need to not be afraid to talk. Nobody's going to judge, nobody's going to question or anything. It's just to talk to somebody on the phone.
Nobody can judge because you just don't know when it'll come to your own doorstep. So.
Absolutely. Sorry, go ahead, Rebecca. Sorry.
Another thing I was going to say is that for anyone who is thinking they're not feeling quite themselves, to try and nip it early, to try and just share it with someone just so they can talk about it, just to not hold it in.
Don't bottle it up.
The earliest you catch it, well, I'd like to think the easier it is to move through.
That's good. I suppose we'll say, like, speaking about, we'll say people themselves suffering from, mental health and anxiety and stuff like that. We'll say, if you have a friend or a family member, like, what would your advice be for someone who feels like a friend or family member is going through something like that, or a loss or a conflict, in their lives? Like, what would your recommendation to them be, or advice?
Pretty much what I said there a second ago. Just talking is key. There's no point in keeping everything locked up in your head. If you think someone is going through a bad time, don't be afraid to approach them and ask them, how are you? Or more so, how are you really? Because we walk by so many people on the street, how are you? Nobody actually listens to the response or even cares sometimes. But it's just to actually, if you're worried about someone, to actually listen to them.
Yeah, exactly.
To take the time to listen to them. And if someone isn't comfortable picking up the phone themselves, a family member or friend can contact Stop.
Yeah,
For
that's
them.
good.
Yeah.
I like you said, it's one of these things where we're so used to kind of meeting people on the road and say, how are you? But we don't stop and talk to them, you know, so it is kind of something that I think we should put out there, like literally, you know, take the time to talk to people. Because I know, especially with the older generation, like would say, that might be the only time they'll be talking to somebody all day.
Yeah,
so you do need to stop and talk and just take 5 minutes out of your life and just, you know, talk to people, you know, it's quite good.
I know of somebody who had our business card on their fridge for weeks, and every day they looked at it and, oh, it's not today, I couldn't do it. It took them a couple of weeks, but they picked up the courage and they made the phone call. And to speak to them after, look, they said it was the best thing they'd done.
Yeah.
They were sorry they waited the few weeks. But
once you get over
again,
the first hurdle.
yeah, it's just to build up courage.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
good.
And, you know, when we're out in at some of the sporting clubs or whatever, you know, it's one thing we say there as well, to talk to a friend, talk to your coach, talk to your mentor. And I'd absolutely love to see some of the clubs or every club in Ireland trained up on, you know, safe talk and things like that, you know, they can be approachable. That would be great.
Yeah, and I think the one thing we didn't touch on was, I presume it's a confidential service. Like, I think people have that other side of things. They don't want everybody knowing their business. So it is a completely confidential service. Like, you're talking to somebody who's not going to be telling whoever and whatever, you know. So, you know, there's an element of trust there as well that I think that has to come across as well, that it is confidential.
yeah,
and
no, absolutely.
it stays
100%,
between the two
yeah.
people, you know, which is good. So we have to kind of talk about what's coming up next for Northwest Sligo, because like we said about the fundraising and stuff like that, it is very important to keep the funding going and stuff like that. So I suppose, Rebecca, tell us about what's coming up next for Northwest Sligo, or Northwest Stop.
Northwest Stop. The next biggest thing that's coming up is our annual Sunrise for Stop walk. It's on the 26th of August. This year from Tubbercurry, we are starting in St. Bridget's Hall at around 6 o'clock. We'll go for a walk out into Tractus and back, and then come in for a cup of tea.
So basically, it's on your website as well, Sunrise for Stop.
Yeah.
So people can register on the website.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure they can talk to many of the people around that
there's
will be going to and stuff like
options
that.
there. Yeah, I've been
So
advertising it on social media
fantastic.
platforms, and they can contact myself, and we will have it's going on in different areas throughout Northwest, not just Tubbercurry. There is what's the
so
other
there's different
locations.
Yeah, so Carrick-on-Shannon, Sligo Town, Belmullet, Ballyshannon, Rivers Town, and Tubbercurry and Drumshanbo as well. In
Very good.
Leitrim.
So plenty of opportunities. So if people register, do they donate, or is it that the donations
Yeah,
are?
so they register, sign up, and they'll get a T-shirt as well. Come along in the morning. Sunrise for Stop, it's not about a big walk. We're very much a community organisation, so it's about coming together as a community and gathering together and to think about those that we have lost and remembering them, and hopefully greet the sunrise. Hopefully
last year we
greet
didn't.
A new dawn, a new day.
Well, especially for Carrick-on-Shannon too, this year, like we have a young man, Liam Cox from Leitrim Village, and he's taken off that morning and he's doing the lap of the maps. So he's going to be 6 weeks pretty much running every day from Carrick-on-Shannon. He's going to go all around the coast.
All around the coastline.
Yeah, and back
Wow.
then.
2,500 kilometres, 60 kilometres
a day.
most days.
Fantastic. And can people keep an eye on this online, or is there a way that they can see how his progress and stuff?
Yeah, that'll all be connected in with the Carrick-on-Shannon.
Yeah.
Will be connected
It's
in with
on
them all.
It's on our website and social media.
Very
And,
good.
But Liam too, like as I say, he'll be stopping in these areas. So say the first day is Carrick-on-Shannon to Strand Hill then on.
Yeah.
So he will be looking for maybe a place to stay or some food, or just
Excellent. Well, look, we'll put the information out as well with the podcast, and like fair play to him. Like, say, the best of luck to Liam and all that with it.
And Liam done a fundraiser for us a few years ago back in COVID times, 2020, I think, and 12 marathons at Christmas. So every day during Christmas,
hail, rain and snow.
Hail, rain, snow.
Well, hopefully we'll have sunshine for the next couple of weeks.
Well,
we haven't lost our summer yet, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Very good. I suppose speaking about Liam the whole lot, but let's talk about how do people find out more about Northwest Stop services? So you've got the website.
We have our website, www.northweststop.ie, our Facebook page.
And just search for Northwest Stop and it'll come up on Facebook.
Instagram as well.
And as I say, all the people involved in it, all the volunteers that's there, we're all very approachable. And there's, look, as I said, it is a private, confidential thing. So even if somebody, you spot one of us or any of the rest of the team, never be afraid to come up and have a chat either, you know.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's just a conversation.
Yeah,
it's just,
that's
you know,
all.
there's no pressure.
Yeah.
You know, which is good. Well, girls, that's basically it. Thanks a million for coming along. I want to thank our guests from Northwest Stop. You can catch all the previous episodes on our YouTube channel. Just search for South Sligo Talks. This episode will be up there as well. We also have an audio podcast, which hopefully I'll get back up to date. I think I'm about 1 or 2 behind, but we'll have it up to date and it'll be there. You can listen to it in your car. And I suppose the main thing we want to say is, like, you know, is to the number 0818 444 000. Very easy number to remember. So make the call, and you know, there's always help out there. I suppose if you have any requests or we'd like to discuss anything on the show, or if there's anything that is concern for yourselves, just send us a message and we can pass on the details as well. That's basically it, girls. Thanks again for coming in, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.